Welcome in to Bears Weekly, powered by IGS Energy, a Chicago Bears network production. Bears Weekly is brought to you by Advocate Healthcare, Athletico Physical Therapy, CDW, Connie's Pizza, IGS Energy, and Miller Lite. Here are your hosts, Jeff Joniak, a.k.a. the Mayor of Bearsville, and his sidekick, Tom the Surfmaster Thayer.
Well, a week from tonight in Canton, Ohio, playing the Houston Texans, the Bears in the Hall of Fame game. Heard right here on ESPN 1000 of the Bears Radio Network, 7 o'clock the kickoff. And Tom Thayer's ready to go. The Super Bowl winning Bears guard here as we begin the march to the regular season with pads coming on tomorrow morning on day 6 of training camp. And thanks to our producers, Dan Barilli and Jordan Tredup. And in the ESPN studios, Kendra Smith. The executive producer of the Bears Radio Network is Eric Ostrowski. Coming up, we'll visit with Bears running back DeAndre Swift in our second segment. And we'll get the latest from practice today. Tom is grinning ear to ear because pads come back.
Well, I was going to say, Jeff, slow your roll, because you're already talking about the Hall of Fame game, which is going to take place next Thursday. But in the schedule of events and their role of importance, tomorrow is probably the most important day since the draft took place, since OTA started, mandatory minicamp, the beginning of training camp. But now, finally, we get to see what this is all about. We get to see real padded football where collisions conclude the play and not just a whistle or somebody running by with no pads on.
They tease us nowadays, don't they? A lot of practices before the pads come on, and it's league-wide. It's not anything different. Yeah. But, wow, they do tease you a little bit. Now, some false security, I would think, in certain situations by without the pads, because that's when you learn. How do guys carry their pads? Are they as quick? Do they run as fast? Are they as physical with the pads on? And all these things are going to make a difference now, and that's where your evaluation comes in. The first thing you do, you go right to the one-on-ones between the offensive and defensive line.
Yeah, just starting from the point of the players. For me, it took me 3 days of practice to become comfortable in my pads.
No kidding.
Because there's so many difference of feelings. The way your helmet feels with your shoulder pads on. The way you can bend and get in your stance not as easy as when you're out of pads. And then all of just breaking in your helmet that got reconditioned, or it's a new helmet from the off season. You need to get a little sweat into your shoulder pads so they form fit around your body. So those types of things, it takes a couple days, and I hope it's hot and sweaty out because it helps those pads kind of form to whatever your body shape is. And then, then you talk about the reality of real football. I want to see one-on-ones. There's guys that I have a peak interest in, and I think Jervon Dexter Sr. is probably the most talked about guy in training camp thus far this season outside of Caleb, because he has such a high expectations. But now we're going to see the performance portion of it and how all the details and everything he did inside the weight room throughout the offseason pertains to actual football.
And then 9-on-7 run drill. That's also a big one. Can't really determine how the running game is without that.
It's probably the most physical portion of team practice. It is 9-on-7 because it's the amount of offense and defensive players. It used to be 9 offensive players against 7 defensive players. And then when Buddy Ryan introduced the 46 defense and he added the safeties, and then it became more of a 9-on-9 drill. So it has changed a little bit. But once you get to teamwork, there's more of a tempo to teamwork. But one-on-ones, 9-on-7, it's more of a super aggressive period that you can get the finer details of interplay between offense and defensive linemen, tight end, and linebackers.
All right, so that being said, in this phase, a stack of practices, Coach Eberflus likes to refer to them as stacks. What was accomplished in your opinion?
They understand the speed of the game, with the understanding of all the mental part of it that they've been teaching these guys now for a couple months. You got to put that into practice. And so I expect the speed of the practice to continue as it was with no pads on. And I do have high expectations for that because it's not where they're going back to relearn the mental part of it. They've just been able to reinforce it over the last week, but now it's into real football. And there's a lot of time instances that change in full pads. So I'm excited to see it tomorrow, and I hope the crowd that surrounds the field is enthusiastic, and I hope they contribute to the volume of noise that the players can hear.
Today, Kyler Gordon not available. He's working through some stiffness in his body. They don't have to tell you where or what the issue is. And Braxton Jones is still rotating at left tackle as he's ramping himself up. Other than that, nothing serious in the injury department, thank goodness, knock on wood. Caleb Williams getting high marks for overall accuracy and how he's moving in the pocket so far. A lot of work in the red zone today, and so there were wins. There were wins by the offense. There were wins by the defense, and a lot of pressure from Montez Sweat today, that's for sure.
Good. But again, my argument with no pads between offense and defensive linemen. I think no pads gives defensive line a false sense of security, and it makes offensive linemen a little bit more insecure. So when you add the physical element of pads to it, I still expect Montez Sweat to shine, unlike a lot of others. But I think when you add what Darnell Wright can do in full pads, and you allow him to be the big body, talented athlete, football player that he has, it'll be more confrontational.
Got to also give a thumbs up to the secondary overall from the time this started. They're playing at a very high level. If they are completing passes, it's in small windows. They are on it at every stage, at every level of the field, and every stage of practice.
Yep. And again, I like it too.
Yeah.
I like it because I think the receivers that they're going up against, the first tier, and all the backups that they're going up against are a quality group of receivers.
Yeah.
But I think it benefits the receivers in the quarterback position and everybody else to practice against quality players. We'll see some practices with Cincinnati and the Hall of Fame game with Houston and so on and so forth with the other preseason games. But when you have that good competition against your own team for multiple practice, it really benefits you to make yourselves better.
And Coach is always talking about playing at game speed at practice. So practicing at game speed. And so the windows can be a little more realistic than unrealistic when you're a rookie quarterback throwing the football or a receiver that's being covered by a DB, a safety, or corner. So I think there is, that's a requirement. That's what he's demanding, and they are playing like that. There was a great play today by Kevin Byard, who was looking quite quick and triggering quickly on the back end of the defense. He almost had an interception, but it went out of bounds. I don't think he got his feet in, but that excites me too because he's a ball hawk, and he knows defense. He's a vet. He's communicating well, helping settle the back end.
Well, that's why I think these no-pad practices are going to be beneficial to the padded practices. Because when we went to training camp, we drove to Platteville, we put our equipment on, and we went to work. And then the pace of practice seemed so slow for a couple days, and then it started to pick up the pace. I think the pace is going to be picked up immediately starting tomorrow because they've had the benefits of OTA mandatory minicamp in a week of unpadded practices.
Time for our first break. On the other side, we'll be joined by running back DeAndre Swift. This is Bears Weekly on ESPN Chicago and the Bears Radio Network.
This is Bears Weekly with the voice of the Bears for 23 years, Jeff Joniak, on the Bears Radio Network.
This segment of Bears Weekly is brought to you by IGS Energy. Jeff Joniak and Tom Thayer with you, a fifth-year running back, a Pro Bowler in Philadelphia last year, and a guest of ours earlier today on the birth date of the late Walter Payton, with Swift now wearing a Bears uniform. Here's a logical question to begin the interview. Does that resonate with you in any way, first and foremost?
Yes. Somebody I used to watch coming up. Great talent on the field. So I'm, as well as you probably know, just a great person probably to block for, to be a part of. But somebody I really watched growing up.
Tell them the story about when you first got to the Bears, because Tom played in the United States Football League, USFL, in the original version. And so he played a whole season, went to the playoffs, got in his car, came to Bears training camp when they had two-a-days. and with Mike Ditka, and then played the whole way all the way through the Super Bowl. So he played how many games in one calendar year? 44?
44.
44 games in one calendar year. Yeah, DeAndre's sitting here a little stunned. But talk about that first time, because he grew up in Joliet, south suburbs of Chicago, and grew up a Bears fan. So when you first walked in the huddle, Tom, with Walter Payton.
It was amazing. I had a hard time being overly excited about seeing him because I hero worshiped him, and I grew up in this area, and so there I was standing in the huddle with Walter Payton, and then they call a play that your block is instrumental in his success or failure. So it kind of puts that excitement. That's one of the things, like when you went to Philly, but you also went to prep high school in Philly. Mm-hmm. I kind of liked the pressure and everything of it. Did you like that part of it, as having where you grew up around you?
100%. I look at it like I didn't have no other option but to perform at a high level. Being somewhere where I'm familiar, where I grew up, when I played ball at, and just had a great mentality. Every day I woke up and went to work.
Back in 1981, I played at Notre Dame. We played Georgia for the national championship game. We got beat, and that was Herschel Walker's freshman year. So when you consider all the talent you played around in college, was the reason you went to Georgia to stay inside that competition that's unlike any other in a college atmosphere?
100% that played a part in it. Wanted to get out of Philly and kind of do something a little different. Had the opportunity to do so. But the competition down there, I wanted to play SEC ball, wanted to play in the best conference there was. Joining the running back group with Sony Michel, Nick Chubb, guys like those. I'm never the one to shy away from competition. I kind of run to it. So that was definitely played a part in it, too.
Well, 6.6 yards per carry in college is pretty impressive, especially when you're playing in the biggest conference in college. Also, the second thing is when you take into consideration some of the running backs that have played on the pro teams that you've played for. When you look at Walter Payton and Gale Sayers, and you look at Barry Sanders, you look at Wilbur Montgomery and Ricky Waters and those kind of guys, it's an impressive group history of running backs that you've been around not only in college but also at the NFL level.
Yeah, my first year I was in the room with Adrian Peterson. I didn't think I'd never be in the same room as AP. Somebody like one of the running backs that I grew up a big fan of. So just having them vet guys around early I feel like it helps you in your career, especially seeing how it's supposed to be done as far as the nutrition aspect of it, the rehab. So I was fortunate enough to be a part of that and kind of watch and take some of those things that I learned and implement them in my own routine.
Adrian Peterson, no matter where your allegiances lie as a fan, right? We called so many of his games when the Vikings came to town or we went to Minnesota. Just a unique, vicious runner, ran tall, but boy, he was something else. And you think about a guy like that. That's a guy like he was just born to be big and strong, right? I don't even know what he did to enhance that, but everybody has to. But do you appreciate that when some guys are just born and built to play the game at a level that is almost unattainable?
100%. And I appreciate even more seeing how they work, just seeing the hard work day in and day out. Know they have natural born ability and talent, but the work that goes into it is something you appreciate much more.
DeAndre Swift, our guest here on Bears Weekly on ESPN 1000, the Bears Radio Network. All right, let's get into the room. First of all, your running back coach, Chad Morton, he's insane. Like, I love the way he coaches. The sprint, you got to tell me where all this started with the sprint thing. Did you know this was going to be his thing from the first time you saw him in the offseason? And as it elevated to a level that is absolutely unique every single day. Break it down for me.
Yeah, when I first met Chet, I didn't think he was as energetic and the personality he has. It's like when he's on the field, it's a whole different way. But like you said, you see him sprinting, trying to beat us to every drill and stuff like that. His whole thing is about finish. But he has fun with it, too. He makes it fun. Type of coach you want to play for.
Yeah, and that room now with you and Khalil Herbert, Roshan Johnson, Travis Homer, who has a history with Shane Waldron, and an undrafted rookie out of Howard University, Ian Wheeler, number 33. When you come to training camp tomorrow for first pad at practice, you're going to notice this guy. He puts in a lot of effort for every touch he gets. He's not getting as many, obviously. And then Kari Blasingame. Give us a little snapshot on each and how that room is operating right now.
Oh, man. These guys, the way we work, the mentality we have, like the Khalil Herbert, it's no drop-off for whoever's in there. Ian. Just the way he approaches every single opportunity. KB, his attention to detail, the run game, his blocking responsibilities, Homer, the way he finishes, Roshan, the way he finishes, the speed he breaks with is night and day with the guys we got in the room.
And that's what's your snapshot? You got to give yourself something. What's yours?
Being able to do whatever I'm asked to do at the best of my abilities, man. Just trying to focus on being consistent. Coming in tomorrow, being better than I was today. That's really what I'm focused on.
DeAndre, this is your third system in 3 years, but all you guys together in that running back room with the Chicago Bears, it's the first year in this system. How long does it take you to feel comfortable with the terminology of these modern-day offenses so to where it becomes second nature? And then does it go hand in hand with the way you read and understand your offensive line in terms of knowing the terminology and know how it fits to your offensive line?
Yeah, it's something that takes time. It takes time, but coaches do a great job with install and the detail to install. So how I look at it is how I approach it. I try to make sure I'm 100% for that day. So I look at the plays with install and making sure I'm fine for that day. Then at the end of the week, I go through the whole week, but making sure whatever is put in the night before, get that down, focus on the day, one day at a time, and then collectively kind of study that way. That's kind of how I've been.
What's amazing for me is I've been around the Chicago Bears for almost 40 years, and we are a run-oriented offense when I was here, and a kind of a run-oriented offense. But now I see the development of the importance of the passing game through the running back with this offense. And the amazing thing about you running backs is the variety of passes that you have to catch, whether it's a swing pass, whether it's a play action, whether it's an immediate bubble screen or a slow screen, or if you're running a route off the line of scrimmage. Your pass catching ability, are you naturally gifted at it, or is it something that you've had to learn throughout your NFL career?
I would say both. I've been naturally gifted at it, be able to have hands, but it's something I work at, like time in and time out every single day. Something I don't take lightly because I feel as though, like I said, the more you can do at the running back position, the more valuable you are. So when you ask to line up out wide and run anything they ask you to do, and you do it at a high level and have success at it, it only helps you.
Hands one thing, route running a whole nother, right? You got to be crisp. Yeah. I mean, and that's a skill too.
Yeah, it is.
That's a skill too. So, Tommy, today a corner route in red zone from Caleb Williams. This man working on Jaquan Brisker makes the grab for the touchdown, and everybody Bears win. Bears win. So you get in the end zone. I think 20 of your rushing touchdowns have come inside the 10 here in the last couple of years. You have a nose for the end zone. Is that something one of the most things you're proud of about you in your career?
100%. The more you're able to do is it helps you. Being able to run the ball any yard line, anywhere on the field, red zone, backed up, it only helps you. And then be able to make people miss is something I take very, very well. Don't take lightly. And being able to catch the ball at the back for run routes, catch the ball, protect the ball. That's something you want to be able to do as a back in this league.
You feel that this is the most highly explosive weapons that you've played with in your NFL career in terms of if you put everybody on the field at once, is this the best group of guys that you've played with, or is it in comparison to the other teams?
It's up there for sure. It's up there for sure. And you got DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Rome, Cole, Gerald, Everett. You got Caleb back there saying "say hi." So it's a great group we got. It's up there for sure.
And how's that going with Caleb? He's got some rare skills. Obviously, he's got humility, and he wants to work, and he's crazy passionate about winning. That's all you need, and now you got to work and grow, right? Yeah. So how's that adaptation coming? It's
been good. That's what you want to see, especially early on in a young guy's career, the quarterback position. Just the urge to get better, the urge to learn and command the offense, something you have to do. And it's tough. It's tough when you get thrown in there early on, new group of guys being able to, you're in a huddle with 10 other men. You got to command that huddle. He's doing a great job at it, getting better every single day. He's taking it day by day.
Tom, last question from you, Tommy. Last question from you.
I'm ready for padded practices. Will you have a different feeling walking into the building tomorrow morning when you know that there's going to be full equipment rather than the practices that you've been going through since you got here?
100%. I feel like if you don't turn your music up a little bit louder in the car on the way over here, you doing yourself a disservice. The energy got to be a little different when you wake up.
All right, last question. You got the Hard Knocks cameras around. I understand from Coach Eberflus, players even admitting it, you don't really notice it. It's just a part of the fabric. They're doing their thing. They're getting what they need to do. And have you noticed anything? Have you noticed guys, looking for the camera? and have you been mic'd up yet?
Yeah, I was mic'd up Monday. I was mic'd up Monday, I believe. Yeah, but you don't really notice it. They do a good job of kind of staying out the way. Only time you notice is if you look up, you see the microphone over your head. But other than that, they've been good staying out the way.
Yeah, it'll be a fun to take a look at it when it's all said and done.
I want to see how everything unfolds and what they put into these episodes.
And the most fun you've had so far in training camp, what would it be? Would it be in the auditorium, a team meeting, rookies getting up there? What do you got? What's the most fun so far? What's made you laugh?
What's made me laugh? Yeah, in the auditorium, the rookie singing. Caleb, I don't know why he thought there was going to be the lyrics. Like when you sing the song, the rookie song, the lyrics was going to be shown, and he was just going to be able to follow the lyrics. Like he thought it was going to be that way. Like he didn't have to know the song. Yeah, that was funny.
So no lyrics,
and he was going to karaoke.
Yeah, that's exactly what he thought. No, brother, you got to remember the song.
Thank you so much for your time, DeAndre. You're delightful, and we can't wait to see you in pads tomorrow, but when the regular season kicks off against the Tennessee Titans. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
That's DeAndre Swift. We'll continue on Bears Weekly after this break on ESPN 1000 of the Bears Radio Network.
This is Bears Weekly with the voice of the Bears for 23 years, Jeff Joniak, on the Bears Radio Network.
This segment of Bears Weekly is brought to you by Athletico Physical Therapy. Visit athletico.com to request an in-clinic or virtual appointment and start feeling better tomorrow. Jeff and Tom with you here on ESPN 1000 of the Bears Radio Network. We'll get to Tom's thoughts in a minute. First of all, as we mentioned in the interview with DeAndre, number 34, the flag flying at Hallis Hall today with Walter Payton's birthday, the late Walter Payton, and they put out a quote, the most complete player in the history of the game. Happy birthday, sweetness. And we cannot argue with that whatsoever. Absolutely.
Not at all. I recently ran into a neighbor of mine here down in Joliet, and she sent me a bunch of pictures of Walter Payton when he visited my family sitting in the backyard. And you see Walter in pads, and you see his greatness on the football field, and we all know what he was like around the Bears facility. But when I look at these pictures of Walter Payton, the greatness, it's amazing how he ingratiated himself with so many different people. And when you see the people in these pictures and they all have smiles on their faces, they're just amazing. And if I was on social media, I would share them with everybody, but I'm not. So maybe I'll give them to you and you can.
There you go. We can make that happen, Tom. We can make that happen. Meanwhile, I know Tyreek Stevenson is both one of our favorite players on this team. We love ethic, and he was at the podium today up here at Hallis Hall talking to the media for the first time. He's asked if he feels different in practice covering the quality of receivers that the Bears are putting on the field at every snap.
Yeah, definitely. These receivers bring out different problems. So just covering them, covering Rome, covering Keenan, covering DJ, covering Tyler, just gives you a different aspect of the game of what they bring to the table. So pretty much any receiver I see this year, I already done seen the best of the best in practice. I ain't gonna lie, Keenan a magician. Just the fact that he can stop mid-route, change his whole route, or just the fact that he gives you something different than what you expecting. Like he might break inside, but he's just doing that just to see on the next play how he can get you on the route that's coming to him. DJ just going to be DJ. DJ going to run the route, and you're not going to stop it, pretty much. So
is it like a mind game almost with him?
Yeah, because just watching him practice and watching how he plays, like even if he ain't getting the ball, he runs a whole different route or he does something different, not even let you know that route is there. So if you come back to it or they run that same play, you go to where you thought he was last time, and it's a whole different route.
Going up against Rome, what has struck you about his ability, and what do you think he brings to this loaded group?
He's sneaky fast. Like off the line, you might not realize he's closing the cushion as fast, but once he on you. So just the fact that he's able to run the whip routes, he's able to break down and run the digs, or if you let him, he'll run right by you. So just the fact that he's he can pretty much do every route on the route tree.
Connor was talking the other day about not only the collective confidence of the secondary starters, but the trust that you guys have that everybody's going to handle their business. How do you describe kind of what that is right now, the cohesion that you guys feel as a group of five?
all the guys want to win, and all the guys know we the best secondary in the nation. So just the fact that we come in and film and we check each other, or like after practice, like I ain't like that. Could you help me here? Just knowing that certain coverages we might need help, like cover 4s, I got to help the safety. I got to take some weight off the safety. Or cover 2, I have to take care of number 1. So just knowing that we go into these meeting rooms and we really get on each other, not harsh, but just let each other know that, this is what I need you to do so I can play confidence, and it's just a vice versa thing.
Charles Tillman's been at a couple of practices I've seen him talking to. What's that been like working with him? Were you a big fan of his when he played? And what type of advice has he given you? What you said?
He's just giving me big dog. Every time you step out on the field, just play your game. If your game is press coverage. If your game is off man. Whatever your game is, use it to the best of your ability. Because at the end of the day, it's a team sport. You're not the only guy on the field. So if you can use your ability and turn that into a superpower, and all the other guys turn theirs into a superpower, then we got one unstoppable defense.
Do you want to return punts?
Yes.
How's that been going?
It's been going all right. I had some hiccups today, but definitely, I'm not up on the list. We got other fast guys, but definitely just want to be back there. If my number is ever called, just know I'm a house one.
Rick, you learned some hard lessons last year as part of the process of getting the arrow pointing up at the end. I know they say you have to have a short memory, but in reality, how difficult was that to kind of get through that? And do you think that those moments actually made you better, and if so, how?
I definitely agree. It definitely made me better. It was a hard pill to swallow coming from being one of the dominant corners in college and just coming here and giving up passes, giving up deep, but giving up stuff that I normally do not give up. So it was a hard pill to swallow. And just looking back on it, I just take those examples and teach myself not to do those examples and teach myself to be in a better position, use my hands, use my feet, look at the quarterback, read 3 steps. So just taking those and just stacking them and learning them and just keep pushing forward.
So are there things like that happened last year that you just know that they either weren't happening at the end of the year or just won't, you just be from your knowledge of the game, won't happen this year? Where's the improvement, I guess? Where are the plays that you gave up last year that you won't this year? What kind of things are...
I ain't gonna lie, we can say it all day. I'm a bit critical of myself, but I would say, as far as just some I would say, just to your point, tackling, just coming with a certain leverage. I know some plays I missed some tackles. I take Cleveland game, Njoku on the over route. If I were to tackle him, it would have been, we put the defense in a better spot. Just the fact that I missed that tackle put us in a worse spot. So just tackling, making sure I come with the right leverage, making sure I use the hamstring drills that we're using out there, and just tackle the best way I can.
So that's one aspect of it, and he has always been brutally honest with himself. And he's, he was the most targeted corner in the NFL last year, 112 times, Tommy. Do you suspect that won't be the case until, I guess they might test him until he can prove that he can consistently shut you down, because you look at what he did. He had 4 of his picks in the final 7 games of the season, and he also had 7 pass breakups in the final 7 games of the season. So he's very tough, very physical. But do you think he'll be less attackable with this year?
It's kind of a double-edged sword. If the Bears can provide enough pressure on the quarterback with immediacy, they're going to try to get the ball out of his hands as quickly as possible. And if they feel Tariq Stevenson is the best option that they can go at instead of Jalen Johnson or one of the safeties, then he may face that challenge again early in the season. However, when you're going against these types of receivers that are such great catchers of the football, it makes you become a better coverage cornerback because of what these receivers are capable of doing. So I think his potential, he still has a tremendous upside. John Hoke is a great coach for him in the early parts of his career, but he's not going to be able to do it single-handedly if there's not pressure on the quarterback from the pass rush. So every great cornerback can really talk about the type of pass rush that's up there, helping him with the limited amount of time that the receiver has a chance to get open.
Time for another break here on Bears Weekly. When we come back, we'll hear from Gerald Everett, the Bears' new tight end, coming into a system that he knows offensively, his excitement about what's next as well. This is Bears Weekly on ESPN 1000 of the Bears Radio Network.
This is Bears Weekly with the voice of the Bears for 23 years, Jeff Joniak, on the Bears Radio Network.
Calling all Bears fans. You want unforgettable access to see the Bears play at Soldier Field this season? Well, VIP official ticket packages are now available for every home game. Unlock access to exclusive ticket packages that may include entry to in-stadium hospitality lounges, pregame sideline credentials, and the Chicago City Pass. Visit ChicagoBearsVIP.com or call 866-202-5755 for more information. Again, that's ChicagoBearsVIP.com or call 866-202-5755. Don't miss this exclusive opportunity with Chicago Bears VIP. Jeff and Tom breaking things down here on Bears Weekly. We'll get to Gerald Everett in a moment. First, time for Tom's thoughts. Tom, well, you shared some thoughts with me earlier today. You feel we should be talking about kick return, and punt return game?
I do. It's going to be such it's just an enormous difference of all the techniques that they've been teaching in the NFL for 100-plus years. And now you have such a faster-paced play with the blocking schemes of guys that they don't do that with regularity when you have defensive guys that are on kickoff return. And just the fact that they're only 5 yards apart, it's just a whole amazing transition of such a big play. I just say it for reference. I was on kickoff return my whole career, and I played back in the wedge. So I would line up on the 25-yard line. After the ball was kicked, you wanted to make sure you saw it being kicked. So you saw it being kicked, and then you dropped in a retreat for 15 yards. You positioned yourself appropriately in front of the deepest ball carrier. And then whoever you were working with, or you had a single block, then you started approaching a guy that was maybe 25 yards away. And then you had to make sure that you stayed in the right position, you kept the right angle on them, and you tried to make sure that you could create that seam for kickoff return. Then the guys in the front line, they were retreating back after the ball was kicked about 25 to 35 yards and then trying to get in a position to make their block. All right, Jeff, throw all that away. Whatever you've been calling the Devin Hester returns and all the great returners in the history of the NFL, that is all forgotten about. Now you have two guys lining up 5 yards away from each other. The ball is kicked off, and then by the time the kicker or the returner catches the ball, there's not a great deal of separation between the first line of tacklers and the position the ball is in. So if one of the blockers gets beat immediately, it's immediately going to change the position and the route of the return. So after we finally get a chance, they get into training camp and you get to see these 11-on-11 simulated kickoff returns. I've never been more excited about a play that's been introduced into the NFL after 100 years than kickoff and kickoff return. And I think it's just going to be amazing, and it's going to be such a factor in some big, big games.
I just hope that teams just don't take the easy way out and just kick it out of the back of the end zone and the ball will be at the 30. They'll give up the 5 yards and put their defense on the field. I mean, they could in the beginning. If I was a kickoff coverage, I would have more faith in a couple of my guys being able to defeat an attempted block immediately and make a tackle from inside the 30 rather than just saying, all right, let's kick it into the end zone, let them catch it and take it out. I would rather challenge that group of 10 men that are right there so close to each other in that fighting position to see how that's going to work out. All right, so I would imagine length and strength at the line of scrimmage. You're looking for big guys with length and speed everywhere else. I'm talking about. Okay, let me rephrase that. On the coverage unit, speed and size and length.
A speed, size, length, escapability, and that's the thing about defenders, linebackers. They're going to be more used to it because they're usually approached and blocking by offensive linemen coming up that 4 yards or running backs. And they know how to get in a position where what we call ole, where they can just arm over or have immediate escapability and then be in an open field ready to tackle or reposition the returner. So, but then there's going to be offensive players that are going to have to develop those types of skills just like defensive players that are going to have to develop blocking skills.
All right, here's one thing that worries me because of the safety of the game and the league's constant talking about that. That's why the kickoff rules have changed to begin with. The first time a prominent kicker gets hurt on a breakaway a breakaway returner, he tries to be the last line of defense and, breaks a leg, tears an ACL, it's going to bring a lot of it. I know where you're going. Don't say it, though. But you know what I mean? I mean, that's in play. Just watching some of these XFL returns, there was a lot of last line defense, and it's the kicker. So
yeah, but there's going to be some special teams coaches that aren't going to have kickers kicking off.
True.
They're going to have a talented athlete kicking off to be a part of the tackling crew. Well, remember when Martin Gramatica jumped up to celebrate a field goal and he blew his knee out in Tampa Bay?
Yes.
Listen, there's always a chance
Right.
that if you leave your feet that you could get hurt. So, don't worry about worry about every position player, not just the kickers.
Okay, Gerald Everett, new tight end with the Bears, asked today what he brings to the offense as we listen in.
Well, for one, playoff experience. I still consider myself young, even though I'm 30 years old, going into year 8. But we have Mercedes in the room, but find myself in the middle of the group, so we can all learn from each other. I mean, I don't think that I'm too good to learn, or I can't learn from anybody, or can't teach anybody. I think we all have that good characteristic. We're all still students of the game, so I think it'll really translate well for us.
What was most appealing for you coming to the Bears?
The potential. I would say the potential for sure. And also what they were trying to do in turning this thing around.
What are the ways in which you think you can be a playmaker in the offense?
Same ways that I've been before, just being interchangeable with the receivers and the tight ends and even the running back. I mean, I don't think there's many tight ends that's doing jet sweeps or catching screens. So hopefully to implement that as well as I did any other year that I've been in the league. So I think it'll be progressive this year.
Sorry, you mentioned that you're 30, but yet in your own room and tight end, you have a guy
Right.
that's been in the league for like more than a decade.
Right,
More than you.
right.
What's it been like working with Mercedes?
Well, it's kind of too soon to say, but I met him my rookie year when he was playing in Jacksonville after I scored my first touchdown. And I just chopping it up with him. I kind of got some wisdom from him then, but to be playing with him now, we're going to have a fun year. And just off the field stuff up to this point is what we've talked about. But obviously the guy's played almost 20 years, so I'll definitely be picking his brain.
Can you imagine playing in the NFL at 40?
I can imagine it. I don't know if I'll do it, but I can imagine it. Yeah.
Now that you've had some practices in, can you start to see what, if you and Cole and Keenan and DJ are all on the field together, the types of things you can do to the defenses?
It's scary. I'm sure you guys have seen it. But even today, we gave the defense something to look at, something they probably weren't ready for. But like I said, being interchangeable, even with DJ and Keenan and the guys in the receiving room, we're going to want to play all the spots. So whether it be right direction or left direction, we're all going to be flying up and down the field.
What are your early impressions of Caleb and how he's handling everything?
He's a complete pro. I mean, from college to now, just being able to see him from afar. Obviously, we both played in LA last year, but him at the amateur level, me at the professional. I kind of caught a few of his games, not knowing that he'd be my quarterback this season, but I can't say enough about him. He's a great guy and an even better football player, so we'll see.
Surround him with veterans, whether it's you, whether it's Keenan, Swift comes in.
Right.
That's a pretty unique situation for a rookie, isn't it?
For sure. I don't think it's ever happened in the NFL, a guy coming into a situation like that, being number one overall, but I think he's going to take it, and he's going to roll with the punches, and it'll be a great year for us.
Gerald, do you have a sense of what kind of leader Caleb's going to be both on the field and in the locker room yet?
I have a sense of it. Can't put my finger on it just yet, but he's very vocal, and as he's still coming into his own as an NFL quarterback in his rookie year, but he's not shying away from it. You can tell he's building his confidence day by day.
Is it hard to tell when a quarterback has, I guess, what they call the it factor? Do you see that? And I mean, if you don't, but I mean, with a guy like Caleb, it's a big part of his game.
Of course.
Can you see indications of that? Is that evident?
For sure. He definitely has that it factor as a dual threat quarterback. He's not afraid to run, and he's definitely got the arm strength. So he's shown that from OTAs to now, even while he was trying to grasp the playbook. So to see his confidence build day in and day out is a sight to see.
When he does take off and look downfield, what are you learning about him in terms of how you need to get open, beyond just kind of your basic scramble drills?
So I learned that from him last year, just catching a few of his games at SC, just keeping the play alive and keeping his eyes downfield. He's got great poise, and his pocket presence is phenomenal, and I don't see why it wouldn't translate to this level.
That's something that's difficult for a lot of quarterbacks to do, is to still think pass even when they're running away there.
For sure. Some guys have it naturally. Some guys have to be coached it, but Caleb seems like he naturally has it. So I think him being coached by Shane and Kerry, I don't see why he couldn't keep going further and further.
And Gerald Everett would know. He was coached by Shane Waldron as well. Played with him with the Rams from 17 to 20 in Seattle in 21. So with Gerald Everett coming aboard, Tom, it's really the first time for Cole Kmet to have a guy with that kind of pass-catching ability lining up next to him. Okay, it just adds a dynamic to the passing game. In the 3 years, the number 2 Bears tight end has a combined 29 catches. So, I mean, we're talking about a big difference. His best season was 22, 58, 555, and 4 touchdowns for Gerald Everett. But what he's done in his career would already rank in the top 20 of all-time receiving in Bears history.
Well, so I have a couple concerns. Gerald Everett is the smallest tight end that the Bears have on the roster, 6'3", 240. I'm glad Shane Waldron has some experiences with him because I want to see the type of packages they envisioned for Gerald Everett. Is it going to be two tight ends in a short yardage and goal line set, or is that Mercedes Lewis or Stephen Carlson or Bates? The bigger air mix in is it Tommy McSweeney?
Tommy Sweeney.
Tommy Sweeney. So all these guys that they have size, are they going to be more competitive blockers than Gerald Everett? So I'm glad that Shane is here because I'm interested to see what type of packages are designed and designated for his type of skill sets. And I think we'll start seeing more of that as pads come on.
All right, our final segment coming up next here on Bears Weekly on ESPN 1000 of the Bears Radio Network.
This is Bears Weekly with the voice of the Bears for 23 years, Jeff Joniak, on the Bears Radio Network.
This segment of Bears Weekly is brought to you by CDW. People who get it, Jeff and Tom at our final moments. The Bears on their Twitter page at Chicago Bears just posted a video about an hour ago, Tommy, and as a play that I forgot to talk about today. It was Caleb Williams rolling to his left, throwing against his body, and a pinpoint pass to Keenan Allen in the end zone. And he got himself square enough, but it's that arm slot and that unique ability that he has to get the ball where it needs to be with a spiral on time and easy to catch for a touchdown. It was a heck of a play.
You know what it is? It's also trusting your balance. Because the worst thing a quarterback can do is try to throw a difficult style of pass and be an off balance. And then you have less velocity on it, and then you make it, almost bait out there for defensive players. If you trust your balance and your athleticism and your core, you can throw passes like that.
Well, his feet were not on the ground when he threw it.
No?
It was something else. All right, let's look at some other topics of conversation before we depart and get you up here. I know you need a good night's sleep. You guys, as DeAndre Swift told us, you got to crank that radio up a little higher.
Oh, man.
On the way here tomorrow morning.
I'm going to have ESPN 1000 playing at the loudest level I can possibly hear.
And show up angry, Tom. Show up with a little attitude. Get us going for the start of the real part of football. All right, Jonathan Owens talked today. Getting ready for his trip to Paris here at the end of the month with Simone Biles, who's won 34 medals in major competitions, 27 world championships, 7 Olympic medals, and going for her 5th gold. So that's a fun story for the organization, too, now.
It's awesome. Question, yeah. I'm super happy for him, and I'm glad the Bears have given him the respect to the opportunity to go there and watch his wife perform. And you see the commercials of what her athletic ability is. There's nobody in the world that can do it, and Jonathan brought that up at the podium, and it's just amazement, and I couldn't imagine being there and supporting wife, family member, whatever the case would be, in that talented of a stage.
Minnesota cornerback Mekhi Blackman tore his ACL in the first practice of training camp.
Awful. I feel bad for him. But, it happens every year in football because of the unpredictable body movement that you have to put out there. And you hope that you did a lot in that 6 weeks off to be in shape for whatever you're going to be challenged with.
Have you seen the new hairstyle of one Joe Burrow, who will be here at Bears training camp before the Bengals game in one practice session?
Love it. Anytime that you can cut your hair that short knowing it's going to grow back, I envy that. I wish that I could do that.
But he became a blonde.
Yeah, that's another good fortune of having hair. You can do those kind of things and get away with it. Hey, listen, man, there's no one that inspired hairdos better than McMahon back in his days when he would come in with mohawks and spiked hair.
You're right about that. He'll be fun to watch. Tom, we'll see you tomorrow up here at Alice Hall. Thanks for listening, everybody. Thanks to Kendra Smith in studio, for Dan Barilli and Jordan Tredup, and our special guest, DeAndre Swift. I'm Jeff Joniak. Thanks for listening, everybody. This has been Bears Weekly on the new radio home of the Chicago Bears, ESPN Chicago. Good night, everybody. Black and Abdallah are coming up next. Stay tuned.
Thank you for listening to the Chicago Bears Network presentation of Bears Weekly, hosted by the mayor of Bearsville, Jeff Joniak, and Surfmaster Tom Thayer. Podcasts are available on the Chicago Bears official app. Bears Weekly has been brought to you by Apple Podcasts, Bet Rivers, IGS Energy, and Miller Lite.